Your life is invincible. Level 1, the sun. You learn early that being special means being alone. Your body is changing faster than anyone planned, and your father watches every change with an expression you can't quite read. Pride, maybe. Something underneath the pride that looks almost like calculation. He teaches you carefully how to land without cracking sidewalks, how to pull every punch before a wall collapses around you, how to smile for strangers. Your father stands nearby offering quiet suggestions about durability and fit. You pull it on and stand in front of the bathroom mirror. Purpose. You feel it clearly for the first time. You have no idea yet what that purpose will cost you. Level 2, the inheritance. Your first weeks as Invincible feel like arriving somewhere you always deserved. You fly above the city watching traffic move below you like scattered toys. Amber laughs at your terrible jokes. William calls you his best friend like it cost him nothing at all. Then your father destroys the Guardians of the Globe. 7 of the most powerful heroes on Earth walk into a meeting room and never walk out. You hear about it the same way everyone does. Breaking reports, confusion, grief spreading outward like something slow and irreversible. The truth doesn't arrive gently. It doesn't knock. It lands like a fist through solid concrete. Your father stands over broken bodies on a suburban street while windows glow behind him. He explains everything calmly, patiently, like someone who rehearsed this conversation for years inside his head. Viltrum sent him. Earth was always a mission, never a home, and you were always part of the plan. You fight him anyway, because what else do you do when everything you believed about yourself falls through the floor at once? He beats you until doctors can't identify your face. You wake in a hospital bed. Machines track your heartbeat. Your mother sits beside you with eyes she's been crying from for days. Nobody tells you the hardest part isn't the broken bones. It's knowing they'll heal completely. And when they do, you'll still remember every second. Level 3, the wait. You return before you're ready because the world doesn't pause for personal disasters. Viltrumites aren't the only threat. Sequids invade. Reanimen tear through neighborhoods. Angstrom Levy sends armies through dimensional holes, while civilians scatter through shopping malls screaming. Every week brings something catastrophic and large. Every week it lands entirely on you. The name Invincible used to mean something simple and good. Now it just means you. Cecil Stedman enters your life the way a bruise enters after a hard fight. Quietly at first, then suddenly everywhere. The Global Defense Agency tracks your movements. Satellites follow your flight paths. Intelligence arrives on your phone before news channels confirm anything. Cecil offers resources, backup, infrastructure. What he actually offers is a leash with extra length so you don't notice it pulling. You discover this when he puts your face on someone else's body and sends it into situations where someone has to die, and he'd simply rather it not be someone irreplaceable. Operations you never approved, kills you never authorized, your identity used like a tool while you were somewhere else entirely. You confront him on a rooftop. The city hums below in both directions. He doesn't apologize. He explains the difference between the two and expects you to accept it. You're beginning to understand that he's not entirely wrong. That understanding frightens you more than anything he's done. Level 4, the mirror. Your father returns from his Viltrumite prison changed in ways neither of you have language for yet. He trains beside you now instead of above you. You spar in open fields far from populated areas. Both of you pulling punches. Both of you pretending this is just training and not the most complicated conversation two people have ever tried to have without using any words. You want to trust him again. You also want to stay angry forever because anger is cleaner than grief. And grief is what lives underneath everything you feel the moment you look at him. The Viltrumite War arrives on the horizon like a storm visible from 200 miles out. You travel to coalition planets and see what occupation leaves behind. Shattered populations, broken cultures, generations raised inside someone else's. Empire with no memory of anything different. You look at them and understand something terrible about your father and about yourself. That was always Earth's future, he knew the whole time. He delayed it eventually, but he knew from the beginning. You fight in a war spanning solar systems while Eve waits on a planet most of the universe considers unimportant. You take wounds that would end lesser creatures entirely. You keep moving forward because stopping means thinking, and thinking right now means reckoning honestly with every version of yourself you've had to become just to survive long enough to keep fighting. You win. The way wars get won, you survive it. Then you carry it home invisibly, pressed flat inside your chest where nobody can see it. Level 5, the cost. Amber leaves, not because she stopped loving you, because she finally understands what loving you actually requires. Watching news coverage to see whether you survived, counting hours between phone calls, building a real life around the spaces your absence creates when the world needs saving again. She deserves someone whose disappearance doesn't feel like waiting on a disaster report. You understand this with complete clarity. Understanding doesn't reduce the weight even slightly. Eve stays. Samantha Wilkins rewrites physical reality with her hands and still carries ordinary human fears underneath everything. Failure, loss, loving someone who might not come home from something that has no name in any language she knows. You fall together the way people fall when they've both spent too long pretending they need nothing from anyone. But something shifts in the way quiet moments reach you. Dinners feel borrowed from a future that isn't promised. Evenings between catastrophes feel like inventory. You start cataloging structural weaknesses in buildings during conversations. You track strangers' heartbeats automatically in crowded rooms without deciding to do it. The way your father told you Viltrumites learn eventually without trying, over centuries of exposure. You stop mentioning these moments to Eve, not to hide them, because you don't want to watch her face change when she realizes how far from ordinary you're already drifting without either of you noticing when it started. Level 6, the Multiverse. The multiverse tears open and you meet yourself. Dozens of versions, hundreds. Invincibles from realities where the choices landed differently, where your father succeeded completely, where you failed at the critical moment, where you became everything you've spent your entire existence swearing you'd never allow yourself to become. One version conquered Earth. Not reluctantly, not under coercion, not after breaking, willingly, decisively. He looks back at you across the space between realities with your own face and your own eyes. Somewhere beneath that meeting lives a recognition that sits in your stomach for weeks afterward, like swallowed glass slowly working inward. The difference between you and him isn't power. It isn't even morality in any clean sense. It's the specific sequence of losses that shaped you into this particular version of yourself. Remove the right ones, add the wrong ones, the math changes entirely and completely. You defeat him. You always defeat him. But you stop being entirely certain that defeating him means you're nothing like him. That uncertainty becomes a room inside your mind. You visit it less and less often because the furniture inside is unbearable and nothing in it can be moved. Level 7, the long game. 7. Centuries begin to feel different once you stop pretending they aren't coming for you. Viltrumite biology means you stay while the world ages completely around you. Your mother grows old. William grows old. The city that watched you become invincible transforms until nothing familiar remains except the shape of the geography underneath it all. You remain exactly as you are. Your father is thousands of years old. You used to think that explained the distance in his eyes. The way emotion arrived in him slightly delayed, like a translation happening between something he still felt and something he could no longer quite access or reach. Now you wonder if time simply does that to people who cannot leave, who stay while everything they loved becomes something unrecognizable and different. You keep fighting anyway, not because hope arrives easily anymore, because you remember when it did. You remember 17 years old in a bathroom mirror and a cape your mother made by hand, from fabric she chose herself. You fight to protect the world where that moment can still happen, for someone else standing in their own bathroom mirror right now. Even on the days when protecting that world requires you to do things that version of yourself would never have understood or forgiven. Level 8, Invincible. Eventually you stop counting what the name has taken from you. The friends buried across decades. The versions of yourself you abandoned inside every impossible choice that had no good answer. Only less catastrophic ones. The ordinary life that existed briefly as a real possibility until the moment it simply didn't anymore. And you both knew it and neither of you said so. You fly above the city on a Tuesday evening when the light turns that specific gold that means summer is ending for another year. Below you, ordinary lives move through their ordinary shapes without knowing you're watching. Parents walking. Children home from school. Couples sitting outside restaurants arguing about nothing important enough to actually matter. Someone cutting through a parking lot running late, checking their phone, unaware of anything above them. You could hear every single word if you focused your attention. You don't focus. You hover in the fading light without fighting anything, without saving anyone, just existing above a world that needs you in ways that never stop being true, regardless of the cost. Your earpiece crackles. Something happening 3 continents away right now. You know the coordinates before the briefing finishes transmitting. You don't hesitate. You never hesitate anymore. Not because you stop being afraid of what each mission takes from you permanently, but because you finally understand what the name was always actually asking. Not invulnerability, not power, just the refusal to stop.